by emailing and calling the SBEs on the entire Palm Beach County District and school district list, rather than just focusing on the actual scope of services that they were looking for. Wastepro did email and call the different SBEs, but it wasn't to fluff. Wastepro wanted to take a welcoming approach. It wanted to think about what are other scope of service, what are other SBEs that we could actually reach out to, instead of just sticking to what we initially thought about. And because we did that, there were a SBE that received the email for towing services. Wastepro didn't think about that as a commercially useful function initially, but because that SBE responded, they added it to the bid. Another SBE responded that offered lab testing. Wastepro didn't think about that, but because they responded, Wastepro was like, you know what, we can actually use them for our DOT's testing for the drivers. Unfortunately, they weren't able to add them because there is an existing master agreement with another company, so there would be legal implications. But these are just some examples to show that Wastepro's welcoming approach was actually the best one to go. The authority also stated that Wastepro's outreach event didn't have a heavy turnout. Oh, we agree. That's why we're asking for a waiver. Wastepro emailed 997 SBEs inviting them to the event. My company physically called 700 SBEs inviting them to the event. Wastepro paid for social media ads, thousands of dollars, to targeted small businesses, inviting them to the event. Unfortunately, we only had 33 SBEs showed up for the event. But is that a fault of Wastepro? Does Wastepro have any actual assistance or help as to relates to the algorithm of the social media? Wastepro can't control that, but Wastepro did its best in trying to fill that room. So in conclusion, Wastepro's welcoming approach allowed for a larger number of SBEs to be contacted. The equal opportunity policy states that you want to have everyone inclusive, and that's the approach Wastepro took. Not to fluff, but to see what else could they utilize? What other services that they weren't thinking about initially could they utilize to meet this 20%? If a bidder submitted a service area that they didn't think about, they were on the phone with Wastepro, talking to them, telling them how they could actually utilize their service. Should they be penalized because they were trying to increase the numbers? Should they be penalized because they wanted to meet the goal? It was not Wastepro's desire to submit a waiver. Lord knows they did not want to do this dance again. But the change in legislation, removing the minority and woman business requirement and making it only SBE, cut out a lot of potential bidders that were available to Wastepro to utilize. Some small businesses that we sent over to get certified, the county couldn't even certify them because they made too much money. Commissioners, we can't control the results of our efforts, but we can make sure that we do a darn good job trying. And in front of you, you have 628 pages of just that. Thank you.
I was going to pause for just a second. Just to clarify, if any member of the board wanted to question during the presentation, that's allowed?
You can ask questions anytime or seek clarifications.
Okay, thank you.
Did anyone have any questions for Ms. Barnes before she? Okay.
Madam Chair.
Would you like to go ahead, Commissioner Powell?
As a follow-up to your question, maybe this is a question for Attorney Jones. If we do ask questions, does that cut into their time, or do we pause for the calls?
We're flexible on the time. 30 minutes is just a guidance. they can take a reasonable amount of time to present their case.
Thank you for that. I would like to ask our previous speaker a question, if that's okay.
Yes.
Thank you. Can you elaborate a little bit on the, you indicated that the change in legislation cut out a lot of small businesses when it comes to small business enterprises, and you indicated that as such, it would, some of them would, their earnings would be too high to qualify for a small business. Can you elaborate on that for just a second?
Sure. So the SBE certification is a localized certification. So when before 7 years ago, the Solid Waste Authority included minority and woman business enterprise as a level to reach the 20%. So 7 years ago, 10% of that came from minority and women, and then 10% came from only SBE. So because there's no more minority and woman, then the whole entire 20% was only for SBE. And minority and woman doesn't have a financial cap. For SBE, for Palm Beach County, a bidder could not make more than $5 million for 3 years, or else they are not qualified to be a certified SBE. So that cut out a lot of people who waste were utilized to meet the MWBE portion, because there's no financial cap there, because you no matter how much you make, you always be a woman or a minority. But because it's only SBE that is allowing the full 20%, those minority and women businesses could not be utilized.
Thank you.
If I could, I would like clarification from staff on that, because I know we did have to change everything to SBEs. Did we have different financial caps for minority or women versus SBEs?
Yeah, Ms. Robs presented all that information during the outreach events and also the pre-bid events. So the threshold is higher. Ms. Robs, if you can elaborate on that.
Thank you for your question. So our different agencies here in Palm Beach County have different thresholds. And they all have, or had at that time, thresholds for whether you're a minority, seeking minority in women business enterprise certification, or small business, or both. Size, revenue of companies did matter. It was a requirement. So it wasn't like minority firms did not have a threshold. So they did. So that's not necessarily true. So there are thresholds. As far as the authority, we accept certifications from state of Florida certifying agencies. We also include the Florida State Minority Supplier Development Council, and they use the same standard, SBA size standard. So it's based on revenue, small businesses.
And Ms. Robs, can you elaborate on the dollar amount for the thresholds?
Okay. So for Palm Beach County, construction is $13 million. Professional services, CCNA is $7 million. Services is $5.7 million, and commodities is $7 million. For the school district of Palm Beach County, its construction is $13 million. Professional services, CCNA is $6 million. Services is $6 million, and commodities is $7 million. For the city of West Palm Beach, it's 13, 7, 7, and 7. For the South Florida Water Management District, they recently changed their thresholds to include more firms. Construction is $21 million. CCNA is $10 million. Services the same, and commodities is $8 million. We also accept Miami-Dade because they have their certification, because they have some firms that also have a location in Palm Beach County, and their threshold for construction is 6, CCNA 2, services 4, and commodities the same 4. Broward County Schools, the same. They have some companies that are also located in Palm Beach County, and their thresholds across the board are 7 million and then less than 100 employees.
If I could, though, just to be clear, those thresholds are across the board, whether it's a small minority or women-based business. Those are the thresholds.
That is correct.
Okay.
Could I
Commissioner
follow up to
Wa-
that question, if I may?
Sure, go ahead, Commissioner Flores.
So what you're saying is they could utilize any of those standards from all the entities that you just mentioned.
That is correct.
And Palm Beach County recently increased our levels, correct?
Yes, you
Thank
did.
you.
Commissioner Weiss, you're recognized.
Thank you. Couple of questions then, Ms. Barnes. So you were talking about a list of SBEs, and you mentioned you obtained lists from Palm Beach County and the school district, school board, school district. Did you get a list from Solid Waste Authority?
Yes, I actually reviewed the list from Solid Waste Authority, and I did note that a lot of actually almost all of them that we would have utilized were also on the Palm Beach County and also on the school district of Palm Beach County list as well. What we did note is the Solid Waste Authority list. It did have some people that did have expired certifications, so we wanted to err on the side of caution and just utilize the government agencies that were actually certifying bodies.
All right. As it relates to you also, and I think I saw it on your slide as well, that people were allowed to sign up between 11:11 and 12:12. Is that accurate?
That is correct, yes.
Was there a limitation on when you could have these people sign up to or apply to be one of your subcontractors?
No, there wasn't a limitation. We had to have a time to cut off, so that we can review the submissions that come in and be able to, one, call the insurance companies, verify their certification, and making sure that they meet the goal, and send that to Westpro for Westpro to review and make a selection and come up with their pricing, et cetera.
Was there any reason why you couldn't have started it before November 11th?
There was several pre-qualification meetings that the authority had before we could even get that started.
Okay. Of your existing, because you guys are meeting the requirement today. Is that accurate?
Yes, using 10% MWBE and 10% SBE,
And
not
how many
20%
of,
SBE.
And how many of those were able to continue on with you all?
Well, we lost one of our major SBEs that contributed to almost half our percentage because they end up being too much. They have outgrown the financial threshold set by the county.
I guess my question then would be, so of the remaining 50%, were you able to retain all of those?
Yes.
So you were not able to recruit any new?
No, we've recruited new ones and maintained ones that we currently utilize.
All right, maybe I'm having trouble with math. I think you said the one you lost accounted for about 50% of your qualifying business. So that would, and you said you were able to retain all of the others, so that's 50%, which is roughly 10%, and that's about where you all, if in my review of the
Correct,
document.
but some businesses are no longer in business, so we didn't count those. But we utilize the existing services, SBEs that are active and still doing work with us.
All right. And you also brought up something about MailChimp, and I'm not sure I don't really understand what the point of that was.
Sure. So the authority stated that the list that we provided did not have a service description for the SBEs. So we brought up MailChimp because MailChimp is an email platform. When you send over a certain number of emails, you can't send it regularly because then your Google or whatever email platform you utilize will flag and spam your email. So because we sent to 900 different emails, we had to use a mass emailing platform. And we couldn't upload any NIGP codes or service descriptions. They only accept 3 data points, which is the emails, the name, and the business name.
Did the authority require you to use MailChimp?
No, it required us to email individuals, and we wanted to have a welcoming approach. So we emailed more individuals in order to get more SBEs on board.
Okay. All right. I mean, I understand that. So, but that was a choice of either your firm or Waste Pro to utilize that particular mail service. I'm aware of other mail services, mass mailing services, and I'm not even certain that you're able to upload unless somebody is signed up and given you permission to email them as a subscriber. I'm not even sure that that's how viable that is and that they're not going to get caught up. So I'm just trying to understand how that's relative to what's in front of us.
Well, I mean, the authority did not require the list to include service descriptions or NIGP codes. It asked us to show a copy of the searches that were done, and that's what we submitted. But to answer the question why the authority stating that they did not see any NIGP code or service description, although that was not a requirement, that was the answer why we are providing that.
So they were merely, then what you're saying is they were pointing out the fact that you did not, as you were trying to target some of these folks, to let them know what in fact the type of service you were looking for. Therefore, they wouldn't even know if it was something that they potentially could respond to.
No, they would know. That's why I went through the landing page.
If they had clicked through to your landing page, correct?
Yes, everyone who got the email would get the landing page.
They
yes.
would get a link, right?
Yes.
They would have to click through to that. So they may
And
have
it was
just
also
thought
on the
it
email
was-
as
yeah.
well. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It's
All
also
right.
on the email as well.
All right. And so yeah. So, all right. Those are my questions for Ms. Barnes. Thank you.
Commissioner Flores?
Hi, Ms. Barron. So help me understand here a little bit. How long have you guys been a provider for SWA?
I would say 10 years.
10 years.
Mm-hmm.
You met the requirement previously. I heard what occurred. Why would you leave this? We're talking about a multi-million-dollar contract. Why would you leave it for 30 days right before the submittal deadline? I don't understand that. Like, I've talked to many of the applicants here previously, even before I was running for a county commissioner. Everybody had this in their radars that this was coming up again. Why would you leave that up in the air within weeks of? Help me understand that. I don't understand. Multi-million-dollar project. You know you have to meet that threshold. We discuss it here openly. Everybody met it. You did not. Why would you leave it for 30 days? Why didn't you call my office? I would have helped you recruit businesses. I don't understand.
Good question. So there was a lot of back and forth with the legislation as to whether it was going to utilize SBEs or utilize MWBEs. We were literally all waiting for approval from the authority.
We changed that months ago. I think it was the middle of last year. We sat here. I remember myself, Commissioner Powell, were not happy about what we had to vote on. The public knew. The other 5 companies met the threshold. You did not. I don't understand.
Well, we gave it our best effort. The moment we were told or provided with the bid documentation, we went to work. So the bid, I don't remember when exactly the bid was out, but we went to work. And we had to develop the databases for the landing page, develop the flyers and all that. But we went to work. We started in late October to get people out. And I want to say your bid, and I don't have the exact date, but the bid
Where
was
is Waste Pro headquartered?
here in West Palm Beach. So we bidded Waste Pro Florida Inc.
Okay, but is it, where is the main headquarters? Is it Florida? Huh? Longwood. Okay. You know, the whole point of SBEs is to give local Palm Beach County businesses an opportunity. So if you've been tracking and you've been listening to us here, you will know exactly where we stand today. Just trying is not nearly enough, my opinion. Sorry.
Commissioner Sachs?
Thank you, Chairman. I think the gist of your argument is that you tried with the provisions that you had, and you told us which ones you use, but you did not make the 20% requirement. Is that the gist of it?
Yes.
Correct? Okay. Does your client have other contracts with the county? I'm sorry, ma'am, I'm asking you.
Within the county, yes.
Okay, so they're not completely unemployed if they don't win this bid.
They will have to lay off a lot of people if they don't win this.
But they have other contracts with the county, Waste Pro.
Not of this magnitude.
I'm sorry?
Not of this magnitude.
Not of this magnitude?
Yes. The
Okay.
area one, yes.
Okay, good. Okay, and when is the next time that they can apply for this contract again?
7 years.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you.
Mr. Curry, did you wish to respond before Commissioner Powell?
Yeah, I just want to provide clarification. Ms. Hart has a timeline that shows, when the outreach event started. This was back in May of last year. This is not October when we published the solicitations. The outreach event started back in May. There were multiple events, and Waste Pro also attended some of the events, if not all of the events. And so this is not new. This is not an October, November, December timeline. This goes back all the way to May 2025. So they had plenty of time.
Okay. Commissioner Powell?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Ms. Barnes, how long have you been working for Waste Pro as their consultant?
For 7 years.
And were you working with Waste Pro? And the reason I ask this question is because Commissioner Sachs had asked the question of if this was their only contract. Were you working with Waste Pro when the bid solicitation went out? Were you actively engaged?
Yes.
In terms of your practice, is MailChimp's a normal order of business?
Yes.
What rate of those emails were opened and unopened? You sent out 900, correct?
Correct.
How many were opened?
I believe, I'm not having the data in front of me, but I believe we only got about 25 to 30% of them that were actually opened.
So you would say less than 200 were opened?
Correct.
In good faith, do you believe that that was sufficient to say, because you've presented that to us several times, that you send out 900 emails, and the way you presented it as if 900 people opened the emails, 900 people were responsive. And I know that was not intentionally disingenuous, but to listen to it, unintentional is I got something I want to say, but it wouldn't come out politically correct. I just don't agree with that notion. And you said several times, well, we sent out MailChimps, and you've made 700 phone calls. How many of those calls were answered?
About 400 of those calls were answered.
You made 700 calls to 400 companies or?
Companies, yes.
Okay. In a good faith effort, you said it's been a good faith effort. Do you believe that Waste Pro has done everything that it could have done to be responsive?
Absolutely, without a doubt.
At this point, when the bid was submitted, what portion, if Waste Pro did not make the 20%, in estimation, what percentage do you think Waste Pro made? And I want to assume, but you know what they say when you assume, was it 10%, was it less? What percentage do you know off the top of your head? If not, that's fine too.
I believe they made 10 to 11%.
Thank you for that, Ms. Barnes. No further questions.
Am I able to respond to two of the statements that were made?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay. I did want to address the statement on the financial capacity of the minority and woman business and the SBE. The authority is correct as relates to the SBE, but with the minority and woman business financial capacity, that financial capacity is at max 47 million. So while yes, there were financial capacity for each certification, a lot of the governing bodies would utilize the SBA standard, and these are at about 47 million. So if we think about it, SBE, the SBEs that would have been utilized are service industries, not construction, they're service industries. The maximum based on all the listing certifying agency that the authority mentioned, the maximum or highest was 5.7 million. So 47 million, 5.7 million. Just wanted to point that out.
If I could, and then Commissioner Weiss, I'll get to you. We're having a lot of discussion on the SBE versus the MWBE, and I'm feeling still very confused because are you saying that before we made the change that we made last year, that MWBEs were uncapped, that they could be as large as they wanted to be as long as they were a minority or a women-based business?
They were capped at 47 million. So they could, based upon the SBA size standard. So that's what, and back then, 7 years ago, the authority would utilize the state of Florida MBE certification that actually utilizes the SBA standard, which was 47 million.
Can that be confirmed by staff, please?
Yeah, Ms. Robs.
I believe the 47 million that Ms. Barnes is referring to is how we qualified solid waste collection size standard with the SBA. With the SBA size standards, each type of industry is either a dollar size standard or number of employees. It's not just one. There are hundreds of different amounts and employee levels that qualify a firm.
And that is regardless of whether it's SBE, MWBE across the board, that those numbers are
It's based
what
on
matters.
size.
Size.
It's size.
Okay, because they're bringing that up over and over again. I'm having trouble with that because all of the MWBEs, as I believe this board understood it, are now SBEs. Like if you're a woman, a minority, a small, whatever, it now everyone is an SBE. We removed just the added category. Is that correct?
Well, we're working with our partners, and different agencies are handling it different. And you're correct. That was our understanding here. But some agencies immediately change M to S. Others had the firms to resubmit either at their expiration or their request. But of course, if you're a minority, you are small if you already have a certification. So
Okay, it feels like we're saying a minority woman-based business could not be a large business, and this is meant to be for small businesses. So there are women and minorities who can own very large corporations, and it feels like you may be saying to us that if you're a woman or a minority, then your large corporations should be able to participate when this was meant to be, as Commissioner Flores pointed out, small businesses in Palm Beach County. No matter who owns it, it's a small business within this county.
right, so there's criteria that defines whether you're small. And so we have our local agencies here in Palm Beach County, as well as we have the district, the Florida district of the SBA that certifies and has a size standard. So for the type of work that we do, we utilize larger companies, and that's why we were pleased that you approved our policy that allowed us to use the SBA size standard for that.
Okay. And just for one final question, since Commissioner Powell brought up the open rate on the MailChimp, do you also know what your click-through rate was? Not just the opening of the email, but those who actually made it to the landing page.
It's in the document. I'm sorry, I don't have it readily in front of me.
Okay. Commissioner Powell, Weiss, I'm sorry, your light was on next.
Thank you. This is from Ms. Robs, because I really want to try and get this clarified. It seems to me that you patently disagree with the statements that we heard from Ms. Barnes as it relates to how this measurement of the size of whether the MBEs or SMWBEs prior, that there was no cap for the women and minority-owned businesses, and there was only a cap for the small business. Is that accurate? That you disagree with her understanding?
I do disagree.
Thank you. So that in the past there was, for the purposes of these subcontractors, for their partners, that there was always a limitation on how large these businesses could be relative to the contract. Is that accurate?
That is accurate.
Okay. And then there was a statement made just a few minutes ago that there was the cap. I think the cap was on services was 5.7, but there are here it's 7 million. Is that accurate for the services?
Yes.
Thank you. I have no other questions.
Attorney Jones?
Thank you. I just wanted to clarify, because there was a statement made that all MWBs became SBEs. Solid Waste Authority is not a certifying agency. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So the county did that, and that's one of the agencies that Solid Waste Authority looks to. I don't know off the top of my head or your head if we know that every agency did it the same way. So I just wanted to point that out.
Thank you. Commissioner Sachs?
Thank you. And I think this is probably for you, Ms. Robb. Will the employees of Waste Pro, will they be able to find positions in the other companies that have procured this contract? Or is there any, problem with, is there any issue with them, and maybe this should go to you, Mr. Carey, finding employment with, since they're experienced and they've had the contract before?
Thank you, Commissioner Sachs. More than likely they would, because this is a zero-sum game. There are defined contracts, and, this is a very unique industry, so people move from company to company. So if Waste Pro loses a contract, hypothetically, let's say, so their employees would go to whoever the firm is that gets the contract. And
Okay, very good.
you know,
So
it's
they
a
won't be
finite
without
pool. You know, they
employment.
move within the same geographic area.
Good. So there's good. Excellent. I like that. Thank you.
Commissioner Marino?
Thank you. And I don't know who's going to answer this question, but I'll put it out there. Of the 7 firms that responded, how many are already providing services to Solid Waste Authority?
Let me go through the list here. If you can put up the list here. I know right off the top of my head, FCC is a current provider. WM Waste Management is a provider. Waste Pro, the Good Companies. That's it. So the 4 of them, they're the incumbents.
And they're incumbents, but they also were able to reach the 20% goal here.
Except for Waste Pro, the rest of the companies did. If you can go back to the table, please, that know the participation levels.
Okay, so what I'm getting at is the folks that have already been providers have been able to continue at the 20%.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Commissioner Powell?
Thank you, Madam Chair. My question would be, I guess, again, to Ms. Barnes, as it relates to the one provider that left. I think you indicated that they had eclipsed the threshold of $5 million. Do you recall off the top of your head at what amount they were at when they were no longer qualified as a minority or now that they have eclipsed that threshold to be an SBE? What level were they at? Do you know?
I don't know off the top of my head, but not all MWBEs were approved for SBE certification. Even especially in my line of work as a procurement consultant, a lot of our clients got denied because they make too much. They were previously MWBE certified and they could not get SBE certified. And even when I was working with Waste Pro, there were companies that came through and we sent them to get certified and the county denied them because that company made too much money.
Thank you for that. I think I understand that. The question I have is, and I think to reiterate my point, was that business that you said was 10% of your minority contract, which was half. At what level were they at when they left? Was it, you said $5 million was the threshold? Was it $6 million, $7 million? Was it $10 million? In addition to that, the question I have is, as a part of this contract, or the bid, when you talk about the 10% minority contracting that was met, of the 10% that's required in the bid, you are a contractor, a procurement contractor with Waste Pro, correct?
Correct.
Are you a part of the contract as well, or the bid that was submitted?
No, I
Thank
was
you.
not a part of it, no.
Thank you.
Commissioner Flores?
So, ma'am, when did that company graduate because they made too much money?
I want to say they graduated either last year. I don't have the data in front of me, or my colleague will be going over that.
So we're saying 25, 24?
Yes, 24,
somewhere in there?
25, correct.
So you knew they graduated. You're currently not meeting the requirement of your contract. So you knew well in advance, not just 60 days ago, that you were not meeting the standard.
I apologize. I'm Amy Shea. I was going to present next.
Hi,
and some
Amy.
of these questions that she's getting, I kind of feel bad for her because I was prepared to answer. And
Okay.
so I hate to interrupt her, and if you have anything else for her about her
No,
presentation.
go ahead. It's
You just want the
our line of
answer.
questioning is
Right.
towards Waste Pro. So whoever
Exactly.
wants to answer the question,
Yes,
I don't.
Exactly. Again, good afternoon, Amy Shea, Counsel for Waste Pro. And I wanted to first address what I believe is screaming out in this room. What happened? Why didn't you make it? What is going on that you didn't make your 20%?
That is the question.
That is the question. And let me explain to you why other haulers that made it, they checked the box, why they checked the box, and why we didn't. And you're looking at them. These are our employees. The other haulers, they're meeting the threshold by using temporary labor agencies. And Waste Pro was not going to look at these helpers. I mean, how many of you have been here more than 10 years? How many of you helpers? How many of you helpers have been promoted through Waste Pro's driver training school to become a CDL driver through our program? And that's what Waste Pro would not do. There was only one area where Waste Pro said that it would use temporary labor agencies. And the reason why is this would have made up the 10%. And we believe the other haulers, they're using temporary labor agencies. So in answer to your question, Commissioner Sachs, will these folks be able to find employment with the next haulers? Probably not, because those haulers have committed to using temps as helpers. And that's a big deal. That's a big deal to Waste Pro. And they were not going to do it. And they don't believe that temporary labor agencies across the board provide a commercially useful function. And they certainly would not have for Waste Pro, because your procurement manual and your ITB both say a commercially useful function, it can't be a sham. It can't be like a pass-through company, like, hey, we're going to have you give the appearance of usefulness, but you're not. And so Waste Pro, who's been in this community for all these years and have folks that have worked for them and have 401ks, they have life insurance, they have health insurance, they're not going to get that at a temp agency. And that is what would have made it up for Waste Pro. Waste Pro lost coastal waste when it became it became too big, and it was using all of its disposal.
Before you keep going,
Yes.
I want to go back to my question.
Yes, sir.
Because we're here for a hearing based on what Waste Pro presented, and they did not meet a threshold or a standard that was set before. You are comparing yourself to what others who met the criteria, you did not. My question goes back to somewhere between 24 and 25. You guys realize that one of your providers graduated the SBE, which used to be called something else previously, and you guys did not replace it.
No, they replaced it. We've replaced it with other things. That was one of the things I was going to talk about.
So how is it that then if you replace it, then you are now falling short?
Right now, we're not falling short under the contract. And what I would suggest to you is that the day we handed in the bid, that's a snapshot in time. You know, in fact, Waste Pro was contacted by an SBE that says, you know, I'm going to try and get licensed and permitted to do disposal. And that was the huge gut in Waste Pro's SBE performance. So if that SBE contractor can get everything done by October 1st, darn sure he's going to be working on this contract. I mean, Waste Pro has always been committed to its SBE goals. This is not something...
Can you truly say that when you did not meet the SBE goal? I mean, can you seriously say that? When you are coming in at 10, your highest percentage, which is service area 2, is 11.9. You're telling me right now that you're committed to SBE, but you're at 12%.
What I am saying is that the authority monitors the SBE participation every single month, and they have done this, and they can attest that Waste Pro has been a committed partner to small businesses. But at that moment in time, that is what Waste Pro had, and they did have a lot of effort. One of the other things was the roll-off. They thought commercial roll-off haulers would come and participate, and it's in the materials. But when you see the 31 bids, they were shocked that they did not have any commercial roll-off SBEs. But these are things that ebb and flow all the time. And, you know, it's like new companies come along, companies go out of business, companies get bigger, companies that might not have been available. And one of the examples that we had talked about was we had at our outreach event, we had another hauler who's a small business, and his company bid on Zone 5. he never submitted a subcontractor bid to Waste Pro. And that could be because he's like, hopefully I'll get Zone 5, you know, the SBE. But now that he's not getting it or may not get it, then all of a sudden he would be available.
So why wouldn't you guys be proactive and go and recruit these businesses? That's what I would have done. If I'm facing a multi-million-dollar project that I want to win, and I know I'm short in a goal, I'm going to do my darndest to go and recruit every company that I possibly can.
And if you want to hear from Chris Shuley, the division manager, the number of phone calls that he was on and calling people, hey, but he can't, you know, some of the things you'll see.
I yield my time. Thank you.
And you will see that under Section B, because I know that Commissioner Powell, you talked about hits and everything. On the waiver request, Section B, it only requires 3 in each scope of work.
If possible, though, we still have some commissioners with a question. We'll let you do your
no,
presentation,
please, I
but there's
apologize.
a few more lights. Commissioner Sachs, your light was on.
Yes, thank you. I think what we're looking at here is two different arguments. The first argument, which was presented by Ms. Shands very well, was that they didn't meet the 20% of the small business enterprises. Now you're bringing up an issue that I did not realize that this is part of our contract requirements, and I'd like to know the answer to this, Mr. Kari. Is there a requirement that a company that wants to do business with SWA, and that is with the county, can use temporary hires?
Yeah, we've always allowed under existing contracts and past contracts, and even in this ITB and RFP, they were always allowed. And Ms. Shea is correct. You know, even Waste Pro, they have used for Service Area 3 under this new ITB, 5% temporary labor services. And even with that, their total SB participation for that area is 10.9%.
I did not realize that a company can use temporary labor and qualify for a contract when we have employees who have been working with the Solid Waste Authority for years. And I'd like to look at that. I see everything in this protest is concerned with the 20%, and that's what I thought, and that's what we've been discussing. This may not be the right time to bring that up because I really do not like the idea of a company not having employees that are, that are local, like one of the commissioners brought up, and that have been working with us for a while. I really do not like a requirement that allows companies to use temporary labor. So this may not be the right time or place for that, but I would like to examine that through legal and through Solid Waste Authority, because obviously we have employees here. We have people here in this county that will work, and they have families, and they work here, and it's a real job. It's not sort of a temporary type of situation. So this may not be the time and the place for that, but I would like to examine that at a later date. I understand that the 20% small business, I guess this is either you are or you ain't sort of thing. Either you made it or you didn't. But I am concerned about our haulers who have been employees for many years, and now they're out of a contract, out of a job. And that is and the competition for that is temp labor. I don't like temp labor. Not when we have full-time employees that have been working with us for a while. So I don't think this is a time or place for me to bring it up, or at least to bring it up in a legal argument. But I would like to review this at some point.
Understood. They were allowed under this bid process.
They were allowed. What does that mean?
To temporary, there was no prohibition on use of temporary services.
And has this been part of the policy and the requirement of the SWA?
Correct.
Mr. Kari?
I really think that this is something we should examine, because if a contractor, if a hauler can provide full-time employees with experience and good work record, I think that should definitely be worth some points. But I think that that's something we could look at. I just want to make sure that we have our longtime haulers here who have been working with us and have good records, that they can continue their employment. That's my concern on this. So I'll leave it at that. All right, but I would like to review that at a later date, sir. Thank you.
Mr. Corey?
Yeah, at this point, I mean, if they can continue their presentation, and then Ms. Robs and Ms. Hart, they have theirs.
Yes, and if I could just,
Okay. We'll put like another 10 minutes back on the clock. Would that work? And then
Okay.
let you do
Thank
your
you.
presentation.
yeah, I hope I won't take that long.
Okay.
I'm cognizant of the time. I just, Commissioner Sachs, just dovetailing off what you said for 1 minute. They gave a list of commercially useful functions, and throughout the bid, it says an SBE has to perform a commercially useful function. And the perfect example is Ms. Barnes' company. She would not be performing any commercially useful function throughout the term of the contract. So of course she wouldn't be included. And throughout it also says it can't be just a pass-through where it's like, oh, okay, you guys do this, but it's work we could do ourselves. You have to add something that the, janitorial service, towing service, something. And one of the things that's really important about this commercially useful function, because that is what the bid law is. It's not like, okay, we've allowed it, and there is a time and a place for a temporary agency. Say that Waste Pro, say they got 2 areas, or a hauler got 2 areas. When Waste Pro did its bid, it just looked at one area, each in a vacuum. But if it was awarded Area 1 and Area 3, it would have to use temp agencies because it probably wouldn't be able to hire on and onboard people for long enough, quickly enough to do it. So there is a time and place for it. But what the issue is are they performing a commercially useful function? And that is one of the main points in Waste Pro's protest, is that haulers that are here that use temp agencies as permanent fixtures in their company, they're not providing commercially useful functions. And so they shouldn't be allowed those SBEs. And that is how that goes to the heart of our protest. I also wanted to talk about the fact that one of the things, and it's going to what you're talking about, is this waiver. We understand we didn't meet the goal, but you allow for a waiver. You allow for it. You are allowed to consider other information and be like, wow, this is a long-time hauler for us that has always committed to SBE. And now it's like, we're not even going to open your bid. We're not even going to give you a chance. We're not going to give you a chance to see. It's all baked into the cake because you allowed a waiver. If you had said, listen, 20%, don't even bid because you'll be knocked out. But that's how it seems because, like you said, we're only focused on the 20%. The focus is on the waiver. And if there was 200 hits of 900, we were only required under the bid documents to do 3 contacts in each scope of service. And by the way, temporary labor agencies are not listed as a scope of service in the bid. They're just not. And so it might be something that has been like, okay, let's do this. But Waste Pro wasn't prepared to do it because it couldn't, in good faith, sign a bid and say temps provide a commercially useful function. When what that would mean is, okay, you guys go work for the temp agency, lose your insurance, lose your 401k, and lose your opportunity to go to driver training school for free and become a driver. And it wasn't going to do that. And this is a very, very difficult decision for Waste Pro because they sat there and said, okay, we can check the box like the other haulers have. And they just weren't prepared to do it. And the waiver says, what were the good faith efforts? The waiver is not focused on the result. They're not focused on how many people read the email. They're not focused on how many people showed up at the event. Your own bid documents, this is the rule book. This is the rule book we got. And it says you have to try. And in good faith, 200 hits, 200 opens, that's not bad considering the authority said we only needed 3 per scope of service. So the authority said you only need 21 contacts. And we had 200 people open that email. When she said over 400 companies we called, that is a big effort. And that is good faith. And I understand your concerns, Vice Chair Flores, about, well, you knew and da-da-da and these, but it's the ebbs and flows of the SBEs. It is the ebbs and flows. And we can all sit here and say, woulda, coulda, shoulda. Maybe if they had given out something at the event, more people would have shown. But that's not what's judged. It's, did this company act in good faith? Did they act in good faith when they submitted the waiver? That is the question before you, not whether or not they met the goal. Because if they met the goal, we wouldn't be here. And I would like to talk about the public comment from Republic, because I appreciated those words, but I just wanted to address it because they said there's a competitive advantage given if somebody doesn't meet the 20%. And I say, absolutely not. It is far more expensive to keep our employees paid, getting raises, getting benefits, having a 401k with match, getting life insurance. It is far more expensive than bringing in temps. So we don't believe that we get a competitive advantage by keeping our folks and not using temporary laborers. And if it was, I know that their staff was concerned about Area 3, but that's because there is additional yard waste, or, you know, it's actually how that area is configured. And that's why temporary laborers at that moment in time in December when we submitted our bid, we're like, we don't have the workforce to be able to cover Area 3. So if we get Area 3, we're going to need to get some temps. But that doesn't mean it wouldn't continue to try and onboard people and get other people. If WastePro was to get 2 areas, then it would blow the SBE out of the water because it would have to ramp up for that. And so there's a lot of things that go into the equation. And that's why the authority says, okay, here's what you have on December, whatever, when you submitted your bid. And here's what, we want to know what you did to try and get more. And we have to document your good faith efforts, not your results. The results are not part of the bid. That's not what was required. I would just end by, one comment that I wanted to end with. There was a lot of things, and I'm sure that you'll be hearing about it during the presentation by staff. But there was, when this came up, thank you. Oh, I was trying to have him put it up. WastePro received this email on December 23rd, and to me, when I read this from Ms. Hart, this went to the gravamen of why we're here and what happened. She sent an email, and she said, listen, pre-qualification, we base our recommendation primarily on the documents submitted, but we also reserve the right to conduct additional inquiries as necessary. It includes interviewing bidders, other things, taking any other actions deemed necessary to ensure a fair evaluation. And then it said, given the volume of documents involved, it's unreasonable to just review the materials in this time frame. Because I think that we can all agree that the good faith efforts, I think Ms. Barnes said is over 600 pages, was voluminous. But they could have sat down and said, listen, we don't have these codes on the emails. Can you give us the codes? Or, oh, by the way, you have to go to this link, but what's behind the link? Do you mind showing us that? They waived the time for good company. Waived it. They actually found out additional information about waste management after the fact about its SBE and said, yeah, we're going to let them in too. But there was never any fair evaluation of WastePro, as Ms. Hart actually told them this is required under 33E. That's what we're asking you to do today. Just do a fair evaluation, not on the result, because we know we fell short. But take into consideration everything you've heard and the fact that WastePro has been a good SBE partner to the Solid Waste Authority. And that's why we would ask that you approve the waiver and find that we were absolutely pre-qualified to see our bid opened and our prices, allow our prices to participate in this process. Thank you.
Commissioner Marino?
So just to confirm, Service Area 3, WastePro did have temporary workers in that mix.
That's the only area. Yes, sorry.
So and I can understand asking for a waiver. I can't understand asking for a waiver for 50%, which is pretty much what this is. I could ask if it were for 2 or 3 or 4% maybe, but I don't see the 50% because then what the other bidders could possibly say is, well, you know what? If we don't have temporary workers, we can come in at 10 or 11 or 12%. So that's not a reasonable defense for me for that. And I'm just throwing that out there. Because we could ask the other haulers to say, if you took your temporary workers out, what would your percentage be? And if the difference is only making up 10%, all these folks still have a job. And you would then have brought in 10% more people. So I'm not on board with it. And if it were up to me, I know we still have some presentations to do, and I'd like to see the rest of the presentations before I decide. But I don't think a waiver for 50% is good. Thank you.
Attorney Jones?
Yeah, I do want to point out that our bid does allow them to submit a waiver. So, and there are requirements of what they need to submit and the information they need to provide us to get the waiver. Staff is going to make a presentation as to why they did not get the waiver, but we do have to consider the fact that the bid did allow them to request a waiver of the SBE requirements.
Thank you. Commissioner Marino, you had a follow-up?
I do have a follow-up. Again, when the waste management, there was no protest with what the efforts were for waste management or for the good company. Is that correct?
None of the other haulers made a protest to those determinations.
Thank you.
Okay, no other lights. So at this point, we would have a staff presentation on the waiver process.
Yeah, Ms. Hart.
All right, so as stated, Waste Pro is one of the incumbent haulers, but we need to follow the terms and conditions of the bid. There's a whole big question about temporary services, but as stated, temporary service is permitted under the existing contract as well as the solicitation itself. So Waste Pro asserts that they are automatically pre-qualified. They state that they couldn't meet the 20%, and despite excessive efforts, they couldn't meet the goal, but that other bidders improperly relied on temporary labor services. So they're stating that it's they are allowed to utilize temporary services. There's nothing improper according to the documents about it. Waste Pro's position states that Addendum 3 states that all current haulers are pre-qualified. To the point that they're all pre-qualified, on page 17, paragraph 3 of the bid document itself, it states minimum bidder requirements, pre-qualification expressly stating that current franchise haulers need not submit responses to requirement A, but must submit responses to requirements B through E, which are financial stability, performance bond, EBO forms, insurance, and the vendor acknowledgement forms. So the bidder has to meet all other requirements of the invitation to bid, and that was mentioned 7 times throughout the solicitation document. So with that, I'm going to now turn over to Ms. Robb so she can discuss the waiver process.
Okay, I'll cover the waiver process. I want to start with saying that the EBO program's mission and the policy is to ensure that all businesses, including small local businesses have a fair chance to do business with the authority. This ITB 26401 has the following provisions. Of course, we've been talking about the 20% SBE subcontracting participation goal. That's a material requirement in the contract. And yes, if a bidder is unable to comply with the 20% goal, they can request a waiver along with submitting all the required support documentation showing their good faith effort at the bid due date. And the waiver is evaluated based on defined criteria, and it's not intended to provide a competitive advantage to any bidder. This slide shows the proposed, which we've looked at earlier, proposed SBE subcontracting utilization by the haulers, showing Waste Pro at basically 11%. This also shows that it's for the 6 cubic yards. A couple of the firms, in addition to Waste Pro, did not differentiate between their percentages for 6 or 12. This slide is the actual way that the subcontracting goal waiver request criteria is required. There are 5 sections. You see the category descriptions, total points to be awarded or available to be awarded is 100. To get a waiver approval, the submitting bidder must obtain 70 or more points. And so sections A through D, it's an all or nothing. And section E, they can get partial points. So you'll see the different descriptions there. Section A, there are 3 requirements. Waste Pro to produce, or the submitting firm to produce, the list of elements of the scope, NIGP codes, estimate of percentages for each of those scopes of work, and then tell us what they will self-perform. They tell us how they're going to get there, and no points are awarded if the list of certified, the list of scope of work and the percentages don't add up to 20% or more, then they won't get any points for that. So what Waste Pro submitted was, they told us we're going to try to get 20%. That was their goal. They said they were going to use around 1,000 certified vendors from the school board's list and the county's list. This is an illustration of Service Area 1 for their scope of work, and you'll see that it's that they have the different types of work. They have the NIGP code, National Institute of Government Purchasing, which classifies products and services, standardizes that. And each hauler, I'd like to emphasize, each hauler decides their subcontracting plan. So we don't require a certain area as long as it's the work being done that helps the franchise hauler perform the contract. That is what we look for.
Sorry, if I could just interrupt for a question.
Yes.
This page, are you saying that they just have to identify the categories with the codes and not the actual SBEs?
So, no, I'm saying the 598 certified SBEs from the school board and the 399 from the county, they did produce a list
Madam
of
Chair.
firms that had the.
If I may add some clarity to that, this is the initial plan to get to the points they have for this section. This is the initial plan. They start with something, and their initial identification is, these are the categories that we're going to be looking at, and the 997 certified SBE firms up top there, that is their initial list to look at and explore, the firms in that list who can provide these line of services. And I would like to point out, the biggest item there, as you can see, is hauling services for 17%. Again, this is the initial plan. They take this plan and start making phone calls or emails and then come back with, okay, I need to refine this list or refine the scope of services here and also find a subset of firms in this list to help me get to the 20%.
Okay, thank you.
So for this requirement, Waste Pro met all of the requirements. So we can move on if you have any questions. We awarded them 25 points. 25 or 25. For Section B, initial communication to potential SBE subcontractors, there are 6 requirements. Each subcontractor solicitation must be documented to be sent no later than 10 days before the bid's due. Each communication has a specific format. It must contain the subject line of subcontractor solicitation, the web link, and so forth. The web.
Commissioner Flores had a question.
Ms. Robb, in the interest of time, we were initially scheduled to be here till about 3:30.
Yes.
I am against the clock. I would like to come to a conclusion here at some point in the near future. Would we be able to expedite and get to the areas where they did not meet?
Yes, I can cover those only.
If we can move it a little bit quicker so that we
Yes.
can get to that final part of this hearing, would be great. Thank you.
Okay. So let's go.
Mr. Hobbs, can you go to the summary so that way we can see where they did not meet? The summary table. Right there.
Okay, so this slide shows the final review of their waiver. So for Section A, of course, I already mentioned that they got the full points. For Section B, they didn't receive any points there. Section C, they didn't receive any points. They did attend the pre-bid conference, so they got 5 points. For other criteria, that's doing other outreach marketing, and in that area you can get partial points, so they got 6 points, a total of 36 points. Because they received 36 points, their waiver failed to meet the 70-point requirement, and so this has been denied. Overall, what we saw was, and you sort of mentioned, was that the efforts basically started 30 days prior to the bid being due. There's no requirement when they could have gotten started with this. All of the at least the incumbent haulers knew that when the contracts were going to end. We had several outreach meetings that identified, you know, that it was going to be SBE requirement. But the real point of why the waiver did not pass was because we needed documentation to show what the requirements of each element was, what the bid offer from the certified firm, the negotiations in writing between the two to determine good faith effort. Thank you.
Any questions from the board or comments?
All right,
Mr.
Ms.
Clark?
Hart is going to conclude this thing.
All right, let's come in for a landing. So, I'm going to go. The biggest point to go through on this particular slide is that we're bound by the terms and conditions of the solicitation. We have to follow what's in the policy manual as far as the purchasing policy and as far as the EBO policy, as those all have been approved by the board, and that's the role that staff has to play here. And if you remember in the beginning when I said that I wasn't going to read a slide verbatim, I am going to read this one because it's really important. What we need here from the board today is we are recommending that you deny the protest from WastePro and deem their bids for service areas 1 to 4 to be non-responsive for their failure to comply with all of the material bid requirements. This will prevent an unfair competitive advantage to the other bidders. Upon denial of WastePro's protest, direct staff to move forward with the following 5 firms that are deemed qualified and responsive, which are the other 5 bidders, and permit staff to proceed with Phase 2, which is the sealed bid opening, the price portion, which is scheduled to happen on Monday, February 2nd, and then those results will be presented to the board at the February 11th meeting.
I'll make a motion as just read.
I'm sorry, a motion.
I'll make a motion that was just read by
Okay.
staff.
We have a
Madam
first by
Chair,
Commissioner-
Madam Chair, we do have a rebuttal period for.
I was going to ask, does
okay.
that happen, can that happen after the motion, or does it, should
I would
before?
let them do the rebuttal before we
Okay, and
before you
Commissioner,
decide on the protest.
Commissioner Powell also had his light on for a question from staff.
Thank you, Madam Chair. When WastePro does its rebuttal, I just wanted to be clear. I'm sorry, I forgot your name.
Amy Shea.
Amy, Ms. Shea, when you do, I just want to be clear that you're indicating, and I don't want to be confused here, that the other haulers met their requirement because they're using temporary laborers. And that's important to me because we got an opportunity to see, and I'm talking about a visual aspect, the employees of WastePro here. I don't know if every entity that bid, I don't know what their employees look like, and if they would have brought them here, what they're, unless it seemed almost as if they're the only ones with employees who have, you're the only ones with employees who have benefits, and maybe perhaps the rest of the haulers are only using temporary labor. So I don't know. I'm just talking about from a visual standpoint from where I'm looking. You also indicated that Waste Management and Good Companies did not meet the requirement. Well, Good Companies was 11 minutes late, according to the documentation that I read, which didn't give them a material advantage. And then Waste Management, from my understanding, also had their documentation. They didn't submit anything additional to that. So I just want, when you do your rebuttal, to clear that up. The question I have for Ms. Robs, Attorney Robs, Ms. Grissom Robs, there were 2 points two areas where WastePro did not hit to get the waiver requirement, and they didn't get any points there. And those were areas B and C. And you said it's all or nothing with those particular areas. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And they never communicated with regard to where they were with that. So if they were applying for the waiver, if they had gotten, even if they had gotten C, which you would have had to get B in order to get C, they would have met the requirement. Am I correct?
That's correct.
Okay. The challenge I'm having is follow-up communications. The follow-up communication, especially in bid negotiations with a major contract like this, is super important, especially when you have the livelihood of hardworking people on the line to make sure that this is absolutely accurate. The challenge I have is this is for 7 years, so if it's a no today, that means you can't apply again for 7 years, and that's a real challenge. So with that, the areas that I wanted to be clear, when you go into your rebuttal, if you could just clear those areas up, that would be helpful to me, and I am prepared to listen.
Okay. Commissioner Sachs, did you want to speak first?
Yes, I do. I mean, I could speak second if somebody else has their light on, or third, that's fine. My issue is this. One of the most important things for the people in my district, as I'm sure for anybody here in Palm Beach County, is the price. Now, we can't look at the prices until they qualify, and I think that's part of the whole bid process. We can't open those envelopes until this pre-qualification is settled. Once it is settled, we open these magic envelopes. If Waste Pro doesn't have a most competitive bid on the price, then they're out anyways. So as far as I'm concerned, and you have yet to hear on your rebuttal, what's the prices? What are the prices? Are they competitive? Then I can reject anybody. This pre-qualification is to meet the qualifications that we have set, the SWA has set. And I didn't have any part of that, and I'm not going to get into it. However, it's sort of like a pre-qualification, but it's not the price. So when my people talk to me and say, wow, these prices are pretty high, I'm going to say, but don't worry, because they met the pre-qualifications. My people don't care. They want to make sure that price is competitive. So I think that's a rather important issue that we all need to understand, that there's envelopes that have the prices of the 6 firms. So if we begin to reject firms because they didn't meet these specific pre-qualifications, we don't know what their price is. So I think that that's rather an interesting point. I wasn't here when y'all made these requirements. I'm not necessarily favorable with them, but that's not the issue today. So we'll move forward. I look forward to your rebuttal. Thank you, ma'am.
Commissioner Baxter, did you wish to speak? I'll wait. Ms. Flores? I'll wait. Okay. Go ahead with your rebuttal.
Yes, if I might just focus on B and C. And Commissioner Powell, I know that you said, well, if you didn't get B, you can't get C. And I would suggest to you that that's not accurate, because what B was like the initial communication. And that's where they said, we need documentation to show that you reached out to 3 SBs, certified SBs, in each of the different scopes of work. And so that 25 points, and you have, I mean, we were respectful enough to not put the binders on your desks and you go, oh, I have to look through all this, but they're available for you and you can see what was submitted. And those emails did go out and you see references, and it isn't just in the link, also in the body of the email, it did talk about the bid. And so Waste Pro believes it materially complied with B. And that is all you're looking for, is did they materially comply and did they give you documentation? Now on C, and I think that is primarily what Ms. Robs was referring to when she's like, we wanted to see the negotiations, we wanted to see the rates. There's a rate, there were 31 bidders that actually bid, and then what we did was we kind of walked through, and it talks about their company, what they do, what were they missing? Were they someone that didn't get something in time? Were they someone that, for whatever reason, maybe it was a duplicate where we already had a landscaper and they also provided landscaping services? And so those were the different things. But those, and it includes the negotiated rate, that's all on that spreadsheet. And so Waste Pro only had to, it was given, this is the list of stuff that you have to give us. And it gave all of those documents. And so that's why Waste Pro believed it did qualify for the waiver, because it's like, this is what this is. And going to, I absolutely respect what you said, Commissioner Powell, about the commercial competitive advantage. And I think that was brought up by the Republic representative about, if we let them do this, they're going to get a competitive advantage. And it's Waste Pro's position that it's like, oh no, it would have been much cheaper for Waste Pro to check the box with the temporary laborers and say goodbye to all of those helpers and say, go figure it out at a temp agency, and hopefully you'll get our area where the residents know your name, where their kids wave to you when they're going to school, these people that are entrenched in our community. And that's why we believe this does turn on commercially useful function. And at the end of the day, going back to you, Commissioner Sachs, when you said, isn't this about price? And what ended up with this process was that Waste Pro actually got put in an RFP, and it didn't even know it. This is an invitation to bid. This is supposed to be driven by price. But what happened by injecting the subjective views of the pre-qualification committee was that it became an RFP. But it wasn't an RFP that says, listen, if you are we're going to still open your price, but if you don't have proper SB participation, we're going to dock you a couple points on that area. No, this is the one that says, Waste Pro, go home. We're not even going to see your bid. And that seems counterintuitive when the authority actually said, this is based on price. It's an invitation to bid. It's not a request for a proposal. And that's why Waste Pro, candidly, Commissioner Powell, when you said, they're using, the temporary labor agencies, we strongly believe that. We have not seen their bids, but if the bids are opened on Monday and we're not lucky enough to be able to have ours opened, there will be another protest, and we will come back before you and talk about commercially useful function. And if FCC has been on the job for 7 years, why do they need temporary laborers? Why haven't they hired any of these people? Ask yourself that question. And do they perform the commercially useful function? Because that's what SBE participation is about. So again, I would ask you on behalf of the company I represent to please allow the waiver and say, yes, we believe that they did a good faith effort, and we're going to allow them to have their bids opened next week. Thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Baxter, or Mayor Baxter.
Hi, would you mind?
Oh, no, of course not.
You had said, and for clarification purposes, about you guys would have just checked to the box and had temporary workers as well. Do we know if that is what all of the other haulers did?
I was not given, I asked for those documents in a public records request, but it will not be made available to me yet. But that's why
do you have that answer?
I'll have Jody provide that.
That's why I said we may be doing this again.
Okay, so FCC, Waste Management, and Waste Pro have temporary labor in this bid.
Is that how they qualified for some of the points?
Yes.
But yet they did not use that box?
Only in Area 3.
They used it in
but in a
Area
different
3.
In Area 3.
Which
They
has
used
heavy
it.
vegetation.
So the other haulers, did they use it in both? In more than just Area 3?
That'll take me a minute to take a look at, if you have another question.
My other question, I do agree with a lot of what Commissioner Sachs said. I like the idea of having longstanding haulers that have been providing service to continue providing those services. I don't like having somebody not be a participant. What if they are the cheapest? Because we can't know pricing yet, from what I understand. So I am just curious on these qualifications and the process of these checked boxes, the discrepancies of, I just don't know if I agree with disqualifying them from what has been stated. And that this one is concerning to me because I know in my area of the county especially, the people like knowing who their hauler is, who the person who's coming. They like seeing those familiar faces. So I don't want to set us up for something that would prevent that from being possible. So I'm waiting on you at this point.
Waste Management used them across, used temporary services across all 4 areas. Waste Pro in only service area 3 and FCC across.
So again, they only used it in one area. Had they used it in all the areas, would they have qualified?
No, the percentage was 5% in service area 3. So
the other lacking qualifications you're saying, because the numbers, and I flipped the page, they were severely short of the 70 points. Were they at 36, I think was on
36.
the screen? Correct. So which one of these areas, initial communication or follow-up communication, would have given them more points? Would they have gotten more points had they checked those boxes?
Not temporary services. So the purpose of the waiver request is where the bidder says, I really tried, right? And so we look for that effort. We say good faith effort. And the good faith effort is to demonstrate that they've been fair to all of the firms that responded and said that they wanted a chance to work with them. So Waste Pro mentioned that a big chunk of their SBE plan included hauling, and that they had and they didn't identify the SBEs, but there were 5 SBEs that didn't have capacity to do roll-off, and that after conversation that it was determined that they didn't have capacity, so they reduced the percentage, which made them not reach the 20% goal. So what we would have looked for and would have been documentation of that fairness. The fairness to the 5 firms that, Ms. Barnes showed us the platform, and it lists the, say, hauling or veg and it bulleted some things. But did it require how many trucks, how much roll-offs? And so the requirements weren't there and should have been provided so that we could see the whole conversation of what the requirements were for that particular element of work, what the offer was from those 5 SBEs, what the negotiations were. You know, we don't know any of that. So how do we be able to determine good faith effort? And then we look at the
And forgive me, this might have already been asked, but are we allowed to have communication with the applicant to ask those questions?
Yeah, the cone of silence starts
That's with us.
Yeah.
I'm talking about between staff.
No, between staff and the bidders, up until the day of the submission, they can communicate. The cone of silence starts the day the bids are due.
With staff as well.
Yes.
So any of these unanswered questions, which is why we're here today.
Yeah,
Please.
we could have answered this from between May and 19th of December when the bids are due. So there were open communication between staff and potential bidders up until the day the bids are due.
It sounds like staff had questions, though. That's why I'm asking. But hold on one second, if you would, please.
Yes, that was what I put up on the screen when I was up. The staff let us know. It was Ms. Hart actually said on December 23rd, as part of our process to ensure fairness of your evaluation, we can interview the bidders, we can ask follow-ups, we can do a lot of things to do that. And none of that was done. There was no questions about, hey, we were wondering this. What were those negotiations? And some of the things, with all respect to Ms. Robb, when you look at these waiver forms, it bullet points what you have to put as documentation. And everything they put for documentation is in there. But some of these things, like we want to know, everyone knows enough about solid waste.
Hold on one second. Is it staff's position that the documentation wasn't there in the application?
It was not.
And you're saying you think it was?
Well, I think we have a chart of the 31 bidders, and it talked about what service they perform, what was the rate, what was the reason we didn't use them, did they have sufficient insurance, did they have did they have enough references, did they have a business location, all of those things. It's on a spreadsheet, and I can point you to it if you want in the pile, but yes, that was provided. And just to speak to about the roll-off specifically, if we say like they didn't have roll-off trucks, but why didn't you use those other haulers? Because we did use, I think, 3 of the 5 haulers. But the problem is if they only run grapple trucks and that's all they own, there's only so much grapple work that we can use in Area 1. Then they're not providing a commercially useful function because we can't use them. And so that's why it fell on, well, we think we can make it up if they have roll-off trucks for commercial work. And then none of them had that. None of them had that capacity.
Thank you. And I'm done asking questions, but I will just reiterate. I do agree with Commissioner Sachs on this, and I don't even know if I really like this process or if this board at a future date wants to dig in. It seems like there's a lot of unknowns, especially with what's being discussed today. So, and again, we won't have that question or that conversation today, but that's all I'm going to say.
Mr. Curry, did you want to respond before Commissioner Flores?
Yeah, I mean, Ms. Robbs is right. The information was missing, and that's why, in categories or sections B and C, they didn't get any points. And again, this was approved by the board back in 2018. This is the policy, the waiver approval process. It's all or nothing, except for Section E, which you can award partial points. And so we did not deviate from the ITB or the process itself.
Okay, Commissioner Flores?
So at the end of the day, to me, this comes down to a fair and just process. We set out a standard which was communicated to everyone that wanted to participate in this process. It was equal and transparent to everyone. And yet, some took the opportunity to meet that threshold and some did not. and some relied on a waiver component of this. This board has made a commitment to meet or to adhere to a 20% of the work going to a small business, which in this particular case, it did not meet. In regards to the waiver, you needed to show good faith effort that you really wanted, that you really tried, and it doesn't seem like you did that. And to be honest with you, when you told me that you use MailChimp and that you made your best effort in under 30 days, I really don't think that's the best effort possible to garner small businesses to participate with you. When it comes down to unjust or unfair advantage, I firmly believe that you would have that if we allowed this application to move forward. That's my personal opinion. So, when it comes down to fair and just process, I don't think it would be fair to the other applicants if we allowed you to move forward. In regards to the pricing component, yeah, we are interested in pricing. We always want to do the best for our residents. However, there are standards that were set that needed to be met to then be able to move forward. And that's across the board. And I think it's up to us, this board, to hold ourselves accountable. That's the reason that we set standards for. That's the reason that we do minimum requirements. And, if you were at a 18, 19% and you really tried and you showed that you really tried, I would say, you know what, this merits giving them the waiver, because I feel like you could work up to that, but you're just barely over 10%. When we're talking about SBE meeting that percentage, and I mean this, the whole point of this program is to help small businesses in our local area grow. And I'm a big proponent of that. I am a fighter for the local team. So anytime that we can give business to a Palm Beach County small business, I will take that, because those are dollars that are staying in our community. And we have to weigh all the options, including pricing. And then lastly, I wish that you guys would have worked with my office. I could have helped get you small businesses to meet that 20%. I did not know anything about this, that you guys were short. I know that there was a code of silence. But still, if you were looking for small businesses, I don't think that had anything to do with the cone of silence. But, I already made the motion. I am going to make that motion again. But if somebody else wants to speak, I'm willing to listen.
Attorney Jones, you had your light on. Did you wish to speak now? Or?
Yeah, I just want to, for the record, I want to just talk about the waiver request a little bit quickly. The waiver request was made. Staff reviewed the documents that were provided and determined that in at least two of the categories, category B and C, that the sufficient documentation was not provided. So I don't want the board's decision to be based on, well, they didn't do the best or they didn't do this. I want the board's decision to be made that they're agreeing with staff's review of the waiver request and denial of that waiver request. So I just want to be clear that that's what the board is acting on here today.
If I could, before I get to Commissioner Powell, to speak on what is before this board to vote on specifically today. It is the waiver request, and as I understand, the waiver is submitted with the bid.
Correct.
Okay, so from the outset, the waiver that came in was for not reaching the small business minimum. We had 20%. They didn't reach it across the board. They knew that from the beginning, which is why they submitted a waiver.
That is correct.
Okay, and then that triggers this ABCDE process that the staff goes through to determine whether or not the waiver would be approved or denied. And according to that process, minimum 70 points is required out of 100, and staff awarded 36 out of 100 to get the waiver. Once that was submitted, the protest period began for Waste Pro, and that brings us here today to decide whether or not we agree with the 36 out of 100 points.
Yeah,
Correct.
and can I
Yes.
add a little bit? I mean, you are here today acting on the protest, so that is essentially what you're going to uphold or deny the protest.
Specifically on the waiver
the main
of
crux,
this.
yes, correct.
Okay.
The main crux of the protest is that the waiver request was denied.
Okay, just wanted to reiterate that that is what is before us right now, is just whether or not we agree with staff's denial of this, because staff has already denied it. They protested. It comes to this board.
Correct.
Okay. Commissioner Powell?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Attorney Jones, you indicated that the waiver request, you said that the waiver request was vague on the side of staff, or did I miss that?
I don't think I said vague.
Okay.
Yeah, I just wanted to point out that I want to make sure that the board is acting on the protest and looking at the waiver request as it was reviewed by the staff.
Thank you. And I think it's my assumption, or it's the assumption of Waste Pro, is because they did submit a waiver that because it was submitted, that it would be, because the waiver request was submitted, there's maybe, I don't know, assume that it would be honored or given. And that's not, it, you don't have to respond if you don't want to, but I think that's what I'm taking in from the conversation that has been had. Did anyone else think, when this was submitted, to ask staff prior to submitting? I heard that it was available from May to December, if what was going to be submitted was sufficient to meet the request. As a follow-up, these are just my final comments. I'm not an expert in procurement, nor do I have a desire to insert myself any deeper into this process to determine what is sufficient. I'm thankful that we hired staff to do that. I am a certified land planner who's not working as a planner right now, but I'm still AICP certified as a land planner. That's my specialization outside of being a county commissioner. I would prefer to stick to that. I am empathetic to the idea that employees / helpers would potentially lose employment if this bid is not allowed to be opened and submitted. However, that doesn't mean that if it is open and submitted that they would get it. I am also disappointed that it's kind of come to this point, but this is the appeal, and I want to ask this question to the staff. If this appeal to us as the board, is this the final protest, or is there something that Waste Pro could do beyond this appeal to potentially stay in play? And just as I've seen today, I know how important this is, Ms. Shea, and to the whole team of Waste Pro, who I'm familiar with most of you, and familiar with many people in this room today. I've seen it's been interesting, and I know how important it is because we've had waste haulers calling each other out, and some, not as bad, but a little tiny bit of, maybe some mudslinging. But I just want to know.
So the next steps, obviously, if they're denied waiver today, the next stop is the circuit court. So it doesn't come back to the board. So this is final here.
Thank you for that. I'm done. I think that's enough information for me to move forward.
Okay, Mr. Kari and Attorney Jones, both of your lights were on. Did you wish to speak to this? Okay.
Sorry, I hadn't turned it off.
All right, Commissioner Sachs?
Thank you. Well, I'm not a land planner, and I don't know the haulers personally, but I will say that when they come pick up my waste at front of my house, they know the kids, The dog knows them. He doesn't bark too much. And we know them. A couple of the issues, and I'm an attorney, so I'm looking at it this way because I can only look at it through my profession. This company did not meet requirement, and the staff reviewed it, and the staff did the right thing. Staff has integrity, and you denied it, and that's why we're here today. I do not contest the staff's integrity and report. What I do take umbrance at is our requirements. I tell you something, I really don't care if they met every requirement through MailChimp or Google or whatever they had to use to contact all the small business enterprises. That doesn't make that much difference to me in reviewing whether or not this waiver could be accepted, and then they go into the next business, a competitive bid of pricing. I'm interested in how many temps are used in the various companies. Because I've heard the response, and I'm very pleased that Waste Pro uses temps in those districts where it's really necessary because of the heavy vegetation. I'm also interested in pricing. Now, if you got a really good computer expert, you could probably get better responses on the SBs. But to me, that is a pre-requirement that really doesn't, to me, it really doesn't show whether somebody should be part of this bidding process or not, whether they met the requirement of contacting all the SBEs. To me, do they have good staff, have good haulers? Are they well trained? Are they part of our county? Do they use our local folks to be employed? And what's the price? What's the price? Are they competitive with other businesses that do the same thing? So that's what I'm looking at, and I respect the integrity of our staff. However, they're using requirements that I may not accept as being that important to get to the next step, which is bidding, which is the price. And I'm also very concerned with whether they use the same haulers all the time or whether they have to bring in temps. And that's my analysis of this issue today. And I hope one day, maybe when I'm not here, y'all can look at some of these pre-requirements because I think they're old. And I think we need to look more at whether, as Commissioner Flores, are you using local people? Are you employing our people? And are these people there for a good period of time so that they know who they're dealing with and my residents know who the haulers are? And we do in my district. We know our haulers and they know us. So I think that is probably one of the most important requirements on this. And that's my analysis of it. And I'll be ready to vote when Commissioner Flores or somebody else will make that motion. Thank you.
If I could, before I get to Commissioner Weiss, to clarify Commissioner Sachs's concern, do we know what the percentages of the other companies were for the temporary?
We do. Mr. Ops will have that percentage. And it's not 10 or 15%, I can tell you that. Yeah, it's a very small percentage.
If that's going to take you a moment, we could let Commissioner Weiss go ahead with his comments.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So, in looking what's in front of us, is this issue of this waiver. We have staff's recommendation or staff's work that recommends denial of this waiver based on what's required to achieve a waiver. In front of us is accepting or denying Waste Pro's protest, potentially creating an unfair advantage. What's in front of us is to proceeding with phase 2, which would allow the opening of the bids, the prices. I can agree, and I think I've heard it from some of my colleagues. Let me go first to the issue of staffing and the employees. I, like everybody, are sensitive, I think, to potential impacts that could have on people and their livelihood. But that's not what's in front of me. I have whether or not I'm going to have a fair system that is equal to everybody that is able to participate. And I'm really challenged, I think, by waiting so long to start the process of actually the documented process of the outreach, because we don't know what went on that's not documented. But all I do know was what happened when it was documented, and it is a 30-day process, literally days before the bid was due. My recollection is it was December.
Yeah, the calls were made, this, the information that they provided. The initial calls were made 1st and 2nd of December, and the follow-up made 8th and 9th of December, like 10 days before the bids were due.
10 days before the bids were due to be able to vet these people, although they're supposed to be certified. So if they are certified, then they should have been vetted already. So a lot of it's just, it doesn't make sense. But that, even of itself, is not in front of me. It's whether or not they complied and were deemed responsive, and they weren't. And they were also, the waiver was reviewed and deemed lacking sufficiency by our staff. And as Commissioner Powell said, I am not a procurement expert. I'm not a procurement person, and God help me if I ever have to do that job, because you all work in a very different world than I do. But I rely on professional staff and what their review was. And I didn't see, I believe it was, as our attorney said, competent, substantial evidence?
It's clear and convincing evidence.
Clear and convincing evidence to the contrary. We saw a lot of other information in a lot of different other areas, but not specifically clear and convincing evidence to object or to override what staff had put forward. So that's where I'm at. And I don't know, did you have a second? I don't know if we had a second on that motion. I'll go ahead and make that second.
We do have a first by Commissioner Flores and a second by Commissioner Weiss. Commissioner Marino, your light was on next.
Thank you. One, thank you to staff. Again, we are not experts at this. We rely on your expertise to guide us today. There is a procedure in place that we need to follow at this point in time. And I do appreciate you all guiding us. To the protesters and to the other folks that are in the room, thank you for being here, for seeing the process take place. I do remember, though, when you were going through this, and I know you're counting percentages and whatnot, you told us that Waste Management, Waste Pro, and FCC had temporaries, but you didn't say anything about Coastal or Republic. Do they have temporaries? So if there's a competitive bid is actually going to take place, because we have businesses that don't have temporary people in the mix. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. So I'm not worried about price. And quite frankly, that's not actually part of this procedure. So I think that with a first and a second, and I know we might have a little bit more discussion, but I'm comfortable taking a vote at any time.
Okay. There are no further lights. Is there anything else this board needs to do before taking a vote?
The percentages, Ms. Robbs has
yes,
the
thank you.
percentages.
They range from 3 to 10%.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so should we do a roll call vote?
Yes, please.
Okay, roll call vote, please.
Vice
And
Mayor Woodward.
just to be clear, the motion on the floor is to deny.
Yeah, the motion is to deny the protest and also direct staff to move ahead with the 5 qualified firms and have the bid opening on Monday the 2nd. And the results will bring back to the board for your final approval at the 11th of February meeting.
Okay, and that was the motion and the second. Agreed? Okay, proceed with the roll call, please.
Vice Mayor Woodward,
Yes.
Commissioner Flores,
Yes.
Commissioner Powell,
No.
Mayor Baxter, Commissioner Marino,
Yes.
Commissioner Sachs,
No.
Commissioner Weiss.
Yes.
It's 4-3.
Okay, so see that the motion passes. And that will take us to the opening of the bids on February 2nd. And then followed up, this board will then have a meeting on that process on February 11th.
Correct. We'll tabulate everything and then we'll present it to the board. If you recall, there are 2 different options, 6 cubic yard and 12 cubic yards. So we'll present it for each service area. The board can choose what level of service you would desire.
Okay. All right, well, with that, is there any other comments from our staff or directors? Comments from the attorney?
No comments.
Any members of the board wish to make a comment? All right, with that, we are adjourned. Thank you very much.
Today in Palm Beach County, the College Football Playoff National Championship Trophy has